my session is going to be very interactive. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to ask questions. I'm even going to ask you to do a small exercise for all of you to visualize and to think. Get a pen and paper if you want to take some notes. You're much more likely to remember content if you document it, and even more likely to retain it once you read it. Goal setting works very, very similar. So when I go to places, I usually take notes, and I take 2-3 things out of those notes that I really want to implement within my system, within my self to become better. Once I've mastered those 2-3 things, then I put more. So the art of taking notes and what are important notes are super important, and reading them again. And you see the people that retain the information the best are the ones that take notes and look at it. Now, I think this is probably the most important thing that I do every day, and it's been documented. So many people talk about this. It's focus on the things that you are grateful for every morning. Everyone wakes up and thinks the things they don't have or things that are holding them back and all the challenges in life. What are you grateful for? Now, for me, I can't go past probably the most important thing. Now, that's my family. I'm sure everyone probably feels very, very similar. I look at my kids, and the first thing I do when I wake up is I try to breathe 4 times in, 4 times out, and I put thoughts in my mind that make me happy, which make me grateful. I can't go past my kids. I can't think of a thought at that point that's going to make me angry, that's going to make me negative, or not make me super optimistic when I think of my kids. To think that they're happy, to think that they're healthy, it's the best way to start your day. Focus on gratitude, because when you're grateful, you can't think of negative emotions. When you're thinking of positive emotions, I heard Tony Robbins talk about this extensively. You can't have positive emotions in your brain and think of negative at the same time. They can't coexist simultaneously. So the best form of positive thoughts is being grateful. So if I'm to just pick anyone from the room, and there's no wrong or right answer, this is why this is so fun to do. What are you most grateful for? Shannon?
Family. Very grateful to have a roof over my head.
Yep. Kamaru Usman's mother, who's a world champion, he was pound for pound one of the best UFC fighters ever. So never complain about your problems. If you put all your problems in a basket and you saw everyone else's, you would gladly take yours and go back. Be grateful for the position that you're in, because not many people have the opportunity to be healthy, to have the privilege to go to work, have a roof over their shelters. We support the homeless, let everyone knows. What would they do to have your opportunity? Professionally, what are you grateful for? Ramesh?
Have a job, do well in my job, and
Mark Boris talks about that a lot. There's a different attitude when you wake up. An attitude of gratitude is saying, I've got to go to work today, as opposed to, I get to go to work today. You have the opportunity to go to work. A lot of people don't have that opportunity to be able to provide for their families, to further their career, to help clients, or to provide a service. So once you change your mindset to think like that, you're going to attract different things as well, okay? Embrace a grateful game. This is a game that I play with my kids every dinner and most meals that we have together. I say, now, what are you most grateful for? And we've had so many funny things that happen. It's got to be something I'm grateful for that day. Could be anything. I'm grateful for having this meal. I'm grateful for eating with my family today. I'm grateful that I get to saw this person. All of that. And it gets your kids in their frame of mind to be grateful for. I've had some real funny ones at the table, but anyway, that's conversation one at a time. Next, George, goes into mindset. What? No. Anyway, why do you think we started with gratitude and then we went into mindset? Can anyone?
set up.
Yep. Can you have a good mindset if you're not grateful for anything? If you've got a shitty attitude, can you have a good mindset? Everything stems from mindset. 2 of the books that I read this year are on Stoicism, which is the ability to endure hardship without showing that emotion. To be able to internally reflect on how you can perceive that information and come up with a logical answer. When your emotion's very, very high, what happens to your response? In what way? You've just had a massive fight with someone. Your emotions are high. How many times have you walked away and go, oh, shit, I should have said that? How many times has everyone done that? Show of hands who's done that. Has everyone done that? And the reason is your emotions high, your logic's low. Blair Singer, who wrote a book called Sales Dogs, and he talks a lot about the different types of people and how they respond in different situations. Going back to what I said, Stoicism is the ability to reflect on information and make logical decisions. If you're consistent with your behaviors, do you think people trust you? If you respond a very calm way? If you're erratic and you scream one day and one day you're not, do you think people will trust you? Which is why Stoicism was the ability to think logically, to be consistent with your emotion. Positive actions attract positive actions. Okay? I always say to my kids, money is nothing but a transfer of energy. What I'm trying to get them to understand, if you give out willingly, from the kindness of your heart without expecting return, it's going to come back times 10. It's going to bring its friends with it. If you give out with the purpose to be noticed or because you're doing it for some other reason, it won't come back. Okay? Regardless of what it is, it's got to be done with the right intention. You might fool a few people that you're doing it for the right intention, but energy always knows. Okay? I always use an analogy of it's like a magnet. It attracts something to it, yeah? Georgie? And the intentions, Anthony Robbins again, energy flows where attention goes. So what you focus on is what you're going to attract. We had a speaker here that talked about RAS, which is a reticular activating system. Your brain sees, when you say to someone, have you seen a car like this before? Black Mercedes. What they start to do is they start to notice a lot more black Mercedes on the road. Do you know why? It was always there. Start using your RAS, your reticular activating system, and you are now attracting black Mercedes, black Mercedes, black Mercedes, black Mercedes. It works the same with energy, where your energy flows. When you start being conscious about, hang on a second, if I go towards here, this guy's going to spew up on me and I'm going to hear everything negative with the world. It's going to be the worst. I don't want to go there. Or I come here and I say, this guy's really positive, he has a good impact on me. What do you think is going to happen to me?
Transference is karma.
It is, exactly. Transference is karma. You know why the news mainly plays bad news? Because that's what we're programmed to remember. So one of my ex-bosses said to me, hey, Chris, okay, yeah, imagine you're walking down St. Kilda Road. Yeah, beautiful day. It's a sunny day. Everyone's out, happy, smiling. They're dressed to the tens. They're all singing, they're chirping. The birds are out. It is the most perfect day you could picture. It's exactly what you want in your mind. Alongside you, there's a little kid riding a bike. He falls off and breaks his leg. What's the one thing you're going to remember? You go, the little kid. He goes, why? I go, I don't know, because he hurt himself. Because that's what we're trained to look at. What I want to challenge you and invite you to do is start looking for everything else. Start looking for the beautiful day. Start looking for the things that you're grateful for. Start looking for where you want your energy to go. It will transform your life. I've done that. And I've been guilty sometimes of thinking of a negative thought, but I try to catch myself thinking it quick so I can snap out of it.
You leave the kid alone then?
What? No, I'll go help the kid. I pick up the kid, but still. And the last point, this is something that's super important to me. I think you treat others always with kindness. Again, it comes back to you tenfold. The nicer you are to people, the better your relationships will be. You will find when you're at the most challenging times, and I've had a few times in my life, going back to when my son lost his hearing, you'll really see who's really around you, the kindness of people. That's what got me through the most challenging time in my life, my family. My friends all showing up. I had a cousin who I barely spoke to for a few months, but I knew one of the first people who were going to call me was him. And he called me almost every day when that happened. He was overseas. Next point. Now, one thing I didn't do, there was a summary page. I think it's somewhere in there. This presentation takes about 30 minutes. I'm going to have 5 or 10 minutes of Q&A, and then I've got 2 announcements at the end of it. Okay? Now, we've spoken a lot about our theme for 2024, which is? What is Kaizen?
Gradual improvements.
Yep. Has everyone started reading their book, Atomic Habits, that I got you? I hope you all read it. Focus on just do a chapter a day, do a page a day to start, okay? I'm going to talk to you, everyone knows what SMART means. We've spoke about it so often. Can anyone reiterate what SMART goals mean? Specific, measurable, realistic, have a time frame, yeah? It's one of the oldest acronyms when it comes to goal setting. Even people are selling seminars. We're going to talk about goal setting. We're not going to mention the word SMART. Well, you already did. But secondly, it's effective. That's why people measure it. And it's easy to measure a goal because it has every part that's important to creating a goal. Okay? We talk about breaking down your goals into daily habits. There's a term that I heard about 2 years ago. I can't believe I never knew it. It's called BHAG, Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. It should scare the crap out of you. It's that big. And people look at it and they go, I'm never going to achieve that. But the way you achieve those goals is you break them down into daily habits that are very, very easy, that can build consistency. Through that consistency, you'll start to achieve bigger things. Through the small goals, you'll achieve medium goals, large goals, and eventually you'll achieve your biggest goals, okay? Now, one thing that I want you guys to do, and I do this every morning, it might feel a bit not natural, it might feel a bit weird to you, but I want you to do it nevertheless. And it's a visualization exercise. It's one that people used to ask me when I was coming here ridiculous time in the morning, what do you do here in the morning? I said, I just sit in my room, I sit there and I think, have a coffee, I look at a certain sheet, which I write every day. I look at it in the morning, I look at it at night, and I visualize things. I used to walk to the office when I lived at the Valencia and I'll do the grateful. I'd be focusing on what I'm grateful for. So then when I come in, I'd be in the right frame of mind, and for 1 or 2 hours, I'd focus on my learnings. And I'd use these practices. And visualizing, and I'm going to ask you to do it now. Just close your eyes, everyone. Just visualize something that's important to you, okay? It might be health. I want to feel healthier. It might be, I want to read 2-3 books in the next quarter. It might be, I want to sell X properties. It might be whatever the case may be. Just visualize that. Okay? Now back. Now if you start doing that and you start to feel that emotion, and you don't talk as in, I want to do this. In your mind, you need to talk about, I have achieved 3 sales. You start to attract a different mindset. In your head, you've already achieved that. I will do 3 sales, not I am going to. It starts to attract different actions, different thoughts. And you start achieving goals. Once you achieve a little goal and you're consistent with your actions, you start achieving more and more, okay? Very popular thing, and a guy by the name of Ray Dalio, who wrote an amazing book called Principles. He's helped more people make money than anyone in human history. He meditates. He uses transcendental meditation. All meditation, I think, is good. Meditation, I believe, and my understanding of meditation is it grounds your thought process, gets you to think logically. It gets you to use things like visualization. So I use meditation quite regularly. I use breath work regularly. And the reason why I want to focus back on breath work, you know when you're really anxious, what's the one thing that changes drastically? Yep. If you're scared of snakes and you see a snake in front of you, what's the one thing that changes? Your heart rate. If you're scared of heights and you're about to bungee jump, what happens? I can tell you, I saw my heart pound more than I've ever seen it. Ever. When I went to bungee jump, I've never had a scarier thought. I don't like heights, I don't like dentists. 2 things I don't like. So I went and bungee jumped and then did a 6-hour dentist appointment that day. And I'll never forget. But when I was up there, I remember the bungee jump guy said to me, my heart was pounding. It's only like 50 meters. It doesn't sound like much, but as you're going up, and I'm doing this in Thailand, mind you, because I thought it was a good idea, got into a taxi. There was a brochure in the back of the taxi. I've got about the 6 hours worth of dental work, which I don't like. I pulled the brochure out. I go, take me here. Partner time goes, are you serious? I go, I've always wanted to. I've never had time. I might as well go jump. Anyway, I'm going. I'm thinking, fuck, I don't know. I can't believe I did this. Go to the guy, well, look, I'm terrified of heights, but I'm going to jump. He goes, that's what a lot of people say, big guy, but a lot of them get the tails between their legs and they don't jump. It's making me even more scared now, you bastard, right? I look at my partner, I go, do you think there's any chance I'm not going to jump? She said, no, you'll have a heart attack before you don't jump. I said, good, I agree. And I'm going up, clutching onto the end, and my ankles are so tight, holding the end, and the guy goes to me, are we almost there? He goes, no, halfway. I go, oh my God, it's going up. I'm passing trees and I'm thinking, my heart's going nuts. He goes, I'm going to count to 3 and don't look down. I'm thinking, fuck, I'm going to have to look down now. As soon as he said, don't look down, I wanted to grab him and throw him down. I go, because now what's the first thing you're going to do? Don't look down, because this guy's not going to jump, right? He's not going to jump. I go, oh my God, all I wanted to do is grab him. I'm going to count to 3 and jump. You're so tight with your ankles because he's got you so tight. You look, don't jump. I jumped to the end. He goes, I'm going to count 3, 1, and I just jumped. First thing I did is I looked down. I go, oh my God. He goes, 1, and I left. I wasn't waiting to 3. But all I can tell you is I remembered that moment. The thing that was the most elevated was my heart rate, which by doing breathing exercises, and another expert at this is Wim Hof, by controlling your breathing, you can maintain a level of composure and thoughts, which is another reason why meditation is so powerful. You become so much more well-balanced. When you're well-balanced and consistent, people trust talking to you more? Would clients trust talking to you more? Will your team have a better response to you? Will you do a better service to these people? All of the answers are yes. What does that come down to? If someone's highly emotional all the time, do you think they're inconsistent? In a highly neurotic and crazy situation, do you want someone that's yelling and losing it and throwing fuel to the fire, or someone who's cool, calm, and collected? What do you think a client wants? What do you think your kids want? What do you think your friends want? I'm not saying we don't lose our emotions. Everyone does. Sure, we're human. But by identifying that emotion, you can control it better and get a better outcome. Before we go into that, does anyone have any questions on what we just discussed? Does it all make sense? Try doing a little bit of breath work each morning. There's a lot of studies written about it. Wim Hof's fantastic. Transcendental meditation's fantastic. Reading books on this is great. Now, going back to the start of the last slide, we talked about goal setting and how important it is. At the start of this presentation, I told everyone to what? Why? Cool. In 1953, Harvard, Yale did a very popular study. And they actually observed people that wrote down goals. Yep. And there's so many papers on this and so much literature on this. So if goals are important to you, start focusing on them. Remember, energy goes where? Attention flows where energy goes, yeah? As Anthony Robbins said. So they grabbed a bunch of students and they realized that only 3% had goals written, 13% had goals but weren't written down. I know what I want to do. 84% did not have any goals. And they observed these people over a 10-year period to see the difference in their lives. Now, people overestimate what they can do in a day, but underestimate what they can do in a year. What that means is little habits daily turn into big changes. Here's what happened. 10 years later, it was discovered that 13% who are not written their goals on average earned twice as much as 84% who didn't. So if I told you just grab a pen, write it down, whatever your goals are, just the pen, that's it, nothing else. And I'm going to double your income. Would you do it? Whatever you're on, I'm going to double it. Would you do it? So here's a study says that this actually works. From Yale, and there's plenty of studies that back this. All I'm asking you to do, write it down. Why? Because you're going to visualize it, you're going to see it, and you're going to understand, you're going to take small actions towards it. And then you start to get better at it. Now, here's where it gets exciting. The 3% who had written their goals have outperformed everyone by almost 10 times. They've outperformed the people who didn't write it 10 times, tenfold. How can such a simple exercise create such a big impact? How? Visualize? What about it? You've got a strategic roadmap to what you need to do now. I know what I need to do. It's unrealistic. If it's unrealistic and too hard, what do? Break it down into small parts. Daily actions that you will do. Consistency equals discipline. So if you can do something small, what would something small be? Anyone can break down their goals into something small. I'll share something with you. Last year, the last thing I wanted to do was be around people or come to the office because I was going through a few personal things. Do you know what I made sure to do? Just show up. My goal was just come to the office. That's it. Show up every day. Get a little bit better. Optimize my performance every day. I can't optimize it if I'm not measuring it if I don't show up. Correct? Pretty easy goal, just show up, isn't it? That's what I gave myself. And I knew that I'll snap into gear very quick. There was a guy who lost an obscene amount of weight. I said, how did you do it? His answer astonished me. He just had to go to the gym every day for 2-3 minutes. Just move a weight around a couple times and leave. But he had to go every day. And his trick was, and it even says so in Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about it, we're human, so we're gonna stuff up. The golden rule is never stuff up twice in a row. Because as you can create a habit, you can break a habit. So he wanted to go to the gym every day, even if it's 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and leave. If you broke the habit once, you wouldn't break it twice in a row. So he's going to maintain that habit. What happened to that 2 minutes? Turned into 3, turned into 5, turned into 10, turned into an hour. The guy lost a ton of weight, looked fantastic. Why? Simple act of just going. Another example. A guy wanted to be a runner. Wanted to run marathons. Very, very difficult. What was his simple goal that he could do every day? Put his running shoes at the door. Just grab my running shoes and prepare them. Just so they're there. Every day I had to do that. And then from that, I went on. Then from that, he started running. 100 meters, 200, 300. Simple acts. Pretty easy to put your shoes there. But it cultivates a habit. If you don't break it more than twice, you'll create discipline. If you write them down, these are the outcomes. Writing your goals down. So I'm going to challenge you now. Write down what it is. If I'm doubling your income in 10 years, doubling, are you too busy to get a pen and paper? Really? Are you that busy? Then I want you to become in the 3% of people. Okay? That writes down and visualizes it. It makes no secret that a lot of the people that I deal with and speak to that have achieved extraordinary things, and I'm not just referring to financially, building businesses, they look great, they have great impact, they help people, you name it. They're very disciplined. And a lot of them were not always very disciplined. They started small, they cultivated habits which they repeated consistently, they started to enjoy it. The better you are, the more you enjoy it. There's a book called The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and it showed that you need to do 10,000 hours in any sport or any career to become an expert at it. 10,000 hours. Now, it's much easier to do 10,000 hours in something you love and enjoy. Now, if you're working a job 38 hours a week, it takes you 5 years, 3 weeks, and 6 hours to complete your 10,000 hours. If you work more, you do it quicker. If you're focused, you do it even quicker. But if you imagine you work for 40 years, how many 5-year lots are there in 40? Cool. How many 2-year lots are there in 40? So if this guy can do something 8 times and this guy can do it 20, how much further off would he be? That's the power of focus. That's the power of discipline. Doesn't mean do 100 hours a week. Some of you are crazy, you might want to, like me, fair enough. But how effective are you in those hours? Do those 10,000 hours and do them correctly. By writing stuff down and by visualizing and understanding your emotions and breath work, you're only going to get better outcomes. And if you study the most successful people, and I'm not telling people to become Kobe Bryant and to be ridiculous in their work ethic, he's 1 in a billion. But you can take snippets of what he does and incorporate into yourself. People come to work 30 hours a week. How can you be more effective in the 30 hours a week? How can I double my income? Well, I gave you the answers. Write down your goals and work towards them. Does that mean some days you're not going to have a bad day? Does that mean some days you're not going to react a certain way? No, sure you will. Catch yourself doing good things and catch yourself doing bad things. There was a clip of Kobe Bryant, but I think we missed it. Before we pass, does anyone have any questions on this? We put all this together in like half an hour or so. Didn't really prepare a speech or nothing. Next, George. Okay, we've done that part. Now, someone goes to me, one of the topics, Chris, how do you talk to everyone? Okay, so I reflected on that. How does anyone talk to anyone? How do you feel comfortable talking to people? Don't all jump at once. How? Yep. How? Just talk, say hello. Has anyone walked the block or been around with me and seen me walk past people? I say hello to almost everyone I walk past. I go in a lift, I say hello. It's not hard. I'm not telling you to do that, by the way. I'm telling you, once you do it so many times, that builds your confidence, which makes you more confident. Hello, how are you? Just a smile. A smile is the best way to disarm anyone. It's the best way to engage someone to be warm, making eye contact, by far. Now, when people are about to have an argument or get emotional, if you say stop, smile, tell me, you know what a different approach that is? Do you know why that's the case? Scientifically as well, releases endorphins when you smile, disarm someone, and if you tell them no matter what the challenge is, we're going to deal with it, people relax. Einstein said you can't solve a problem with the same consciousness that created it. What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means you're still part of the problem when you're in that state.
Which is what state?
Elevated.
When your emotion's high, your logic is? Is all this starting to make sense and gel into each other? When I've got a real heated conversation, I just tackle it first on and I disarm it. If you're yelling at me and I start yelling back at you, do you think I'm going to have a good outcome? First I'm going to do is calm the person down, smile, whatever, and I'm not saying this is possible all the time. Smile, get the mood back down to where it needs to be and just have a discussion. What's the main challenge? Ask the questions in a nice, respectful way, okay? So when, again, at the start of the presentation, I said, just prepare something, you can talk to any room, and I thought, how did I have that ability? It's because I practice it so much. It's because I love people so much. So a few things and a few tips, repetition on how to build confidence. Just do it. Some might be awkward. Put yourself in awkward situations. They get less awkward the more you do it, I promise. Be authentic. Be you. No one does it better. Okay? When we've been taught in sales, when we build rapport, look on the wall. Oh, these guys are talking about trophies. If I'm not interested in that sport, I don't talk about that sport. If it's a snooker trophy, I can talk about it authentically because I understand snooker. I'm not going to see a footy picture and go up and start talking about footy because I know nothing about footy. How do you be authentic? Just be you. I can promise you're going to find something to mirror, and I'll give you an example. If I find kids, there's no topic I love talking about more. If I find certain sports, family, being a hard worker, whatever it is, there's 4 or 5 points that you'd like that you can connect with someone on. Well, it might be a different. For you sports fans, other people like sports. Could be kids, it could be whatever the case may be. There's so many things. Find what it is that you can authentically talk about. Use body language. You know if someone's open to you just by the way they're sitting. And I've studied this quite intensively and I can't talk much about it because obviously I don't have much time to talk to you about it. But body language is very, very important because it gives you signs on how welcoming someone is to you, if they're listening to you, if they're making eye contact with you. Yeah? Smile, make eye contact and be polite. I've added a book here which is very, very good. It's by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's such a good book and it teaches you how to become more relatable. It talks about emotional intelligence, understanding certain things, okay? And then you can delve so deep into that. You can talk about body language, you can talk about so many things. But I will say this will transform your life in every area. Because I believe one of the most important things in life when it comes to business, I can attest to this, when it comes to when I've been down and out, when I lost everything at 24, do you know how I was able to rebuild myself? Through relationships, through having good connections with builders, developers, doing what I say all the time. Yeah, you can count on him. If he says it, he's going to do it. Doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. I own them and I move on. So being accountable to what you say, people start to trust what you say. If you're not erratic and people can't make you blow up all the time, you're more welcoming, so people will speak to you. Do you see how that's going to help you in business? More importantly, how it's going to help you in life? If there's a real tough conversation, they're probably my favorite because I want to see how people respond. Radical Candor by Kim Scott's an amazing book that discusses just that, how to have difficult conversation. Yeah? If you want a list, I can give you a lot of the lists of these books that I've read, key ones. Whatever you want to focus on, whether it be goal setting, having good conversations, how to win friends, whatever the case may be. Before we go into the next slide, does anyone have any questions on what we discussed? Which of this do you think is the most applicable to you that you can use straight away? Maria?
Be authentic.
Cool. Manan? Always the best one. Hey, if I'm really happy and I'm smiling at you and you want to go, you're going off and you're really angry, do you think that would disarm you? So if you storm in to come to talk to me, but I'm just jovial, I've got a smile on my face, do you think you're going to think a little bit different? It disarms the situation. A smile always does that. It also releases, it's scientifically proven, when you smile, it releases endorphins. And if you use Einstein's theory, you can better problem solve when you're in a different mindset. So sometimes, and one of my mentors had one of the most challenging days. And I was walking the town with this person and he told me some real challenging situation. I go, how did you deal with it? I breathed, I got out of the office and I walked down the block a couple of times. Cool. So I didn't say anything stupid. Part of Stoicism is you never respond when you're angry. Never make great decisions when you're really happy. Never make big decisions when you're really upset. Think about those decisions and you'll always get a better decision, a bit more calculated. Always. Now the funny thing is, as he was walking around, he went back to the office and something else happened that was very big. Again, equally as big as the first. What did you do? Because I went for another couple walks. So he did more than 10,000 steps that day. But his situational awareness to not blow up in both those cases, it would have taken an incredible effort and an amazing self-awareness. 99% of people in that case would have blown up both times. He didn't. And all I was intrigued with, how did you respond? What did you do? And then after I said to him the next day, how did you feel? He goes, I felt great because I didn't say something that I would regret. And I didn't say something that was detrimental to the situation. And let me tell you, he was probably in the right both times from what I understood, and he still had his emotional wits about him. That's leadership. That's amazing. Now, next, Georgie. Cool. We've got 5 minutes of Q&A, and then I've got 5 minutes worth of announcements. Sorry, George. Can we go back? So I'll present them in a sec. Before I make my 2 announcements, does anyone have any questions I want to ask about anything we discussed? I know I covered a few range of topics, but I just want to give as much value as I can in a short period of time. Any questions or anything that you want me to cover further? Happy Valentine's Day, team.